My wife said she settled for me and her ex was her real love. So I invited her ex to dinner to show her what she's missing. It turns out he's broke, balding, and still lives with his mom, asterisk. Never thought I'd be the type to post here, but this past weekend was so insane I need to share it. My wife just learned that some fantasies should stay in the past. Original post. I, 35M, have been married to Kelly, 33F, for 6 years. We dated for 2 years before that. I thought we had a solid marriage, good jobs, nice house, talking about kids soon, but apparently I've been living in ignorance. 3 weeks ago, Kelly got wine drunk at her sister's birthday party. I was the designated driver, so I was sober for this whole conversation. On the ride home, she started talking about her college boyfriend, Marcus, how he was the one that got away, and how she thinks about what life would have been like if they'd stayed together. I tried to laugh it off, but she kept going. Said Marcus was passionate and spontaneous while I'm stable and predictable. Then she hit me with, "Don't get me wrong, I love you, but Marcus was my soulmate. You're just comfortable." I settled for safe. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. When I asked her about it the next morning, she tried to backtrack, but basically confirmed she meant it. Said every woman has the one that got away and I shouldn't take it personally. For context, Kelly and Marcus dated for 3 years in college. He cheated on her multiple times, couldn't hold a job, and eventually dumped her for someone else. She was devastated and spent years getting over him. We met 2 years after their breakup. I've spent the last 3 weeks thinking about this. My wife sees me as the safe backup plan, the reliable guy she settled for after her real love didn't work out. Cool. Just fantastic. So I did something petty. I found Marcus on Facebook. Turns out he's not doing great. Multiple failed businesses, recently divorced, moved back to our city. His profile is public and yikes. Lots of posts about being an entrepreneur and grinding, but also asking for rides because his car got repossessed. I reached out, told him I was Kelly's husband and would love to catch up over dinner, since we're all adults now. He was surprisingly eager, probably because I mentioned I'd pay. I told Kelly I had a surprise for her. She was excited till Marcus walked into the restaurant. The look on her face was priceless. Horror, confusion, and trying to play it cool. Marcus immediately started hitting on her, completely ignoring that I was there. Kept talking about how great she looked and how he always regretted in letting her go. Here's what Kelly's soulmate has been up to. Lives in his mom's basement at 34. His business is selling supplements through an MLM. His ex-wife left him because he cheated. Shocking. He's gained about 60 pounds and lost most of his hair. Still wears the same cologne from college, but now it doesn't cover the cigarette smell. The dinner was awkward as hell. Marcus spent the whole time either hitting on Kelly or trying to get me to invest in his business opportunity. He actually asked if we had a guest room he could crash in for a few weeks because his mom's boyfriend doesn't like him. Kelly barely spoke, just stared at her plate while Marcus went on about his glory days in college and how he's about to make it big. He even suggested Kelly could leave her marketing job to help him with his supplement empire. When he went to the bathroom, Kelly hissed at me, "Why did you do this?" I said, "You seemed to miss him. Thought you'd want to catch up with your soulmate." She looked like she wanted to cry. The best part? Marcus asked Kelly if she ever thinks about him. She mumbled something non-committal. He then announced he's been thinking about her for years and actually wrote her poetry. He pulled out his phone and started reading the worst poetry I've ever heard. Something about her being his golden goddess and how her love was like cocaine for his soul. I had to excuse myself to laugh in the bathroom. When the check came, Marcus did the wallet pat down and said he forgot his card. I paid, of course. He then asked if we could give him a ride home because Uber was acting up. We drove him to his mom's house in uncomfortable silence, except for him giving us a virtual tour of his supplement inventory in the trunk of his mom's car. As soon as we got home, Kelly exploded. Called me an asshole, said I humiliated her, that I had no right to ambush her like that. I reminded her that she's the one who said he was her soulmate, and I was just comfortable. She's been sleeping in the guest room for 3 days. Her sister called me yesterday laughing her ass off because Kelly told her everything. Apparently, Kelly admitted she's been romanticizing Marcus for years and seeing him in person was like a bucket of cold water. Her sister said she needed that reality check. She's been comparing you to a fantasy that never existed. Kelly came to me last night and apologized, said she's been stupid and didn't realize how good she has it. That seeing Marcus made her realize she's been holding on to an idealized version of him that never existed. The real Marcus is a loser who peaked in college. I told her I need time to process the fact that my wife settled for me and spent our entire marriage thinking about another man. She's been trying to make it up to me, cooking my favorite meals, being extra affectionate, actually deleted Facebook. But I can't get her words out of my head. Settled for safe. Comfortable. Like I'm a human participation trophy. I'm not sure where we go from here. Therapy? Probably. But at least she knows now that her soulmate is a balding MLM Hun who smells like Axe body spray and failure. Was I petty? Absolutely. Do I regret it? Not even a little. Update 1, 5 days later. Well, this has been a week. First, Marcus won't stop texting me. He thinks we're friends now. Sends me business opportunities daily and asks if I could loan him $5,000 to get his inventory up. Also sent me shirtless gym selfies from 2015 asking if I could help him get back in shape. Bro, I'm not your life coach. Kelly has been different since dinner. Not just apologetic, actually different. She admitted she's been comparing every man she's dated to a version of Marcus that only existed in her head. College Marcus was already a cheater and unreliable, but somehow she memory molded all that and turned him into this romantic hero. We had a long talk 2 nights ago. She told me that after Marcus dumped her, she was so broken she promised herself she'd never date anyone who could hurt her like that again. So she picked me stable, reliable, safe. She thought that meant boring, but seeing Marcus made her realize I'm not boring, I'm mature. There's a difference. She also admitted something else. She's been sabotaging our relationship because she was bored, but the boredom was self-created. Every time I suggested trips, date nights, or activities, she'd say no because she was tired from work. Then she'd complain we never do anything exciting. She was comparing our real life to her fantasy of what life with Marcus would have been. Apparently, lots of spontaneous trips to Paris, not selling supplements from his mom's basement. Her sister sent me screenshots of their text conversation. Kelly wrote, "I've been such an idiot. Marcus is exactly who he always was. I just refuse to see it. Husband has been nothing but good to me, and I treated him like a consolation prize. I don't deserve him." Her sister replied, "No, you don't. But he married you anyway, so maybe try appreciating that." I agreed to marriage counseling. Our first session is next week. I made it clear that I need to know she's with me because she wants me, not because her first choice turned out to be a loser. The Marcus situation escalated. He showed up at my office yesterday. Security called me down, and there he was in the lobby with a box of supplements trying to convince security to let him up so he could surprise his new business partner. I told security I didn't know him. He started yelling that we just had dinner together. I said, "Oh, that guy who couldn't afford his own meal? Yeah, please escort him out." He texted me later calling me fake and saying I don't understand the entrepreneur mindset, then asked if Kelly was happy in our marriage because he's available if she needs a real man. I forwarded the texts to Kelly. She was mortified. Sent him a long message telling him to never contact either of us again and that she's embarrassed she ever dated him. He responded by calling her shallow and saying she chose money over love. The guy who tried to move into our guest room is calling us shallow. Kelly blocked him on everything. Then she did something that surprised me. She made a Facebook post before deleting her account, admitting she'd been romanticizing an ex and almost ruined her marriage over a fantasy. Said her husband is worth 100 Marcuses and she's been an idiot. Pretty public accountability. Her friends' comments were interesting. Turns out, several of them have been telling her for years to stop talking about Marcus and appreciate what she has. One friend wrote, "Finally, we've been waiting for you to wake up since your wedding day when you called him the one that got away in your vows." Wait, what? I asked Kelly about this. She turned red and admitted that in our wedding vows she mentioned learning to love again after heartbreak. I thought she meant general heartbreak. Nope. She was talking about Marcus. At our wedding, in front of our families. I'm now angrier than I was before. But here's the thing, I'm also oddly grateful for that dinner with Marcus. Without it, Kelly would have spent our entire marriage comparing me to a fantasy. Now she knows the truth, and I know where I really stand. We've got a long way to go. Trust is broken, but at least we're dealing with reality now, not her romanticized memories. I just hope Marcus finds someone else to bother. Maybe someone who's interested in his entrepreneur mindset and doesn't mind that his office is his mom's Corolla. Update 3 weeks later. Therapy has been intense. Our therapist is a no-nonsense woman in her 60s who called Kelly out immediately. First session, Kelly tried to minimize everything, saying all women have one that got away. The therapist looked her dead in the eye and said, no, they don't. And even if they did, they don't spend their marriage dwelling on it. Kelly broke down, crying, admitted she's been selfish and unfair to me for years. The therapist asked her why she married me if she was still hung up on Marcus. Kelly's answer? I was turning 27 and all my friends were getting married. So I was a deadline. Cool. The therapist then turned to me and asked why I stayed after learning this. I didn't have a good answer. Still don't. We've been unpacking a lot. Turns out Kelly has this whole pattern of romanticizing things she can't have. Jobs she turned down became dream careers, apartments she didn't rent became the perfect place, and Marcus became the perfect man. It's like she's addicted to regret. Meanwhile, the Marcus saga continues. He started a podcast about entrepreneurship and heartbreak. Episode 3 is titled, How Money Stole My Soulmate. It's 45 minutes of him ranting about Kelly and me, though he doesn't use our names. He calls her K and me Beta Bill. The podcast has 12 listeners. His mom commented, "Proud of you, sweetie," on every episode. Kelly's friends staged an intervention of sorts. 5 of them came over last weekend and basically told her she's been insufferable about Marcus for years and they're tired of it. Her best friend Sarah said, "We stopped inviting you to wine nights because every conversation somehow became about your college ex. It's been 10 years. Move on." Kelly was shocked. She genuinely didn't realize she'd been that bad. Her friends had receipts, though, screenshots of her bringing up Marcus in random conversations, comparing every romantic gesture to something Marcus did, even finding ways to mention him during other people's wedding toasts. One friend said, "Remember when I was crying about my miscarriage and you said at least I didn't have to go through what you did with Marcus? That was fucked up, Kelly." I didn't know about that. Kelly tried to defend herself, saying she was trying to relate. Her friends weren't having it. They told her she needs to grow up and appreciate what she has or she'll lose it. That night, Kelly couldn't sleep. She kept apologizing and saying she didn't realize how toxic she'd been. I asked her a simple question. If Marcus had been successful and single when we met, would you have dated me? She couldn't answer. That told me everything. I've been staying with my brother for a few days to clear my head. Kelly has been sending me long texts about how she's been doing work on herself. She started individual therapy, bought a bunch of self-help books, and even wrote Marcus a letter that she didn't send, telling him off for how he treated her in college. But here's the plot twist. I've been doing some thinking too, and I realized something. I knew Kelly wasn't over Marcus when I married her. I saw the signs, heard the comments. But I thought I could love her enough for both of us. That's on me. I enabled this fantasy by never calling her out. Every time she mentioned Marcus, I just took it. Every comparison, every joke about settling, I just smiled and internalized it. We're both broken in different ways. Yesterday would have been our 7th anniversary. Kelly had planned this big romantic gesture, recreating our first date, fancy dinner, the works. I appreciated the effort, but it felt performative, like she was trying to convince herself more than me. At dinner, I told her I needed a separation. Not a divorce, yet, but time apart to figure out if this marriage is salvageable. She didn't fight it, just nodded and said she understood. The restaurant was the same place I proposed to her 7 years ago. Back then, when I got on one knee, she said yes immediately. Then whispered, "I can't believe this is really happening." I thought she meant she was happy. Now I wonder if she meant she couldn't believe she was settling. I'm moving into a rental next week. We're going to continue therapy separately and together. Maybe we'll work through this. Maybe we won't. But at least the fantasy is dead. Marcus texted me again yesterday. His podcast got canceled. His mom stopped paying for the hosting. He asked if I wanted to invest in his new venture, a dating app for entrepreneur-minded individuals. I didn't respond, but I did laugh. For the first time in weeks, I genuinely laughed. Because at the end of the day, I might be beta bill to him, but I'm not the one living in my mom's basement, pretending to be successful while begging strangers for money. And I'm no longer willing to be anyone's safe second choice. Final update 2 months later. This will be my last update. It's time to close this chapter one way or another. Kelly and I have been separated for 2 months. The time apart has been revealing for both of us. I'll start with the Marcus situation because it's the easiest to wrap up. He's in jail. Turns out his supplement business was selling counterfeit products, and the real company pressed charges. His mom kicked him out after the arrest, and last I heard he was representing himself in court because no lawyer would take his case for exposure payment. Before his arrest, he sent Kelly one last message, a 3,000-word email about how they were meant to be and how I manipulated her with money. He also admitted he only reached out to me hoping to get to her. Kelly forwarded it to me with one comment: "I can't believe I wasted 10 years thinking about this loser." Now for the real update. Therapy has been brutal, but necessary. My individual therapist helped me realize I have a savior complex. I seek out broken people thinking I can fix them with enough love and stability. It's why I was attracted to Kelly in the first place. She was clearly hung up on her ex, and I thought I could be the hero who helped her move on. Kelly's been doing her own work. She's been diagnosed with limerence, basically an addiction to romantic fantasy. Her therapist traced it back to her parents' messy divorce when she was young. She learned to escape into romantic fantasies rather than deal with reality. We've had several honest conversations. She admitted that marrying me was a mistake, not because I'm not a good partner, but because she wasn't ready to be married to anyone. She was running from the pain of Marcus's rejection, not running toward me. That hurt to hear, but I appreciated the honesty. Last month, we met for coffee to discuss next steps. Kelly looked different, calmer, more grounded. She apologized again, but this time it felt real, not performative. She said, "I turned you into a character in my story, the safe, boring husband. But you're a real person who deserved a real partner. I'm sorry I couldn't be that for you. I'm working on being better, but I understand if it's too late for us. I told her about my own realizations, how I enabled the fantasy by never standing up for myself, how I was so desperate to be loved that I accepted being someone's backup plan. We both cried. Then she said something that surprised me. I think I need to be alone for a while, maybe a long while. I've never been single as an adult. I went from Marcus to a rebound to you. I don't know who I am outside of a relationship. She was right. And honestly, I needed the same thing. We filed for divorce last week. Uncontested, no drama. We're selling the house and splitting everything fairly. The process has been sad, but peaceful. We're being kinder to each other in divorce than we were in marriage. Kelly is moving to another state for a fresh start. She got a job offer and decided to take it. She's excited about focusing on herself for once. I'm genuinely happy for her. As for me, I'm doing well, better than I expected. I've been traveling, something Kelly never wanted to do. Went to Japan last month. Turns out I'm not as boring as I thought. I just needed someone who wanted to explore with me. I've been on a few dates, nothing serious. I'm learning to spot red flags instead of seeing them as challenges to overcome. One woman spent our entire first date talking about her ex. I politely ended the evening early. Old me would have tried to be her rebound. New me knows better. My brother said something that stuck with me. You spend so long trying to be enough for someone who didn't want you that you forgot you were already enough. He's right. To anyone reading this in a similar situation, you can't love someone into loving you back. You can't be stable enough to make up for their instability, and you deserve to be someone's first choice, not their safe option. Kelly sent me a text yesterday. Thank you for the wake-up call. Even though it hurt, I needed to see Marcus for who he really was. More importantly, I needed to see myself for who I'd become. I hope you find someone who sees you as their adventure, not their safety net. I replied, I hope you find yourself first. Good luck. And I meant it. This whole experience taught me that sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is show them the truth, even if it hurts. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit that love isn't enough when it's built on a foundation of fantasy. I'm signing the divorce papers tomorrow. It's not the ending I imagined when I proposed 7 years ago, but maybe it's the ending we both needed. To Marcus, wherever you are, thanks for being such a disaster that you accidentally saved my life. Enjoy prison. To Kelly, I hope you find peace with reality. It's actually pretty great here. To everyone who followed this story, thank you. Your comments helped more than you know. Time to start my next chapter. This time as the main character in my own story, not a supporting role in someone else's fantasy. Peace out.